Welcome to the Entrepreneur Motivation Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Bello. Today we've got Ronak Singh on the show. Ronak, welcome, man.
Hey, man. How are you doing?
Good. It's good to have you on here. And for everyone who's in the audience who's listening, we know each other from back in the day. I think we met at a high school party or something, if I remember correctly.
You know what? Yeah, no, I actually remember the Chris Bello I remember had long hair, was like into motorcycles. It was a different Chris Bello. Yeah, this is
the new version.
Amazing transformation. But yeah, very, very different than the Chris Bello I once knew whenever I was young.
That is funny. I had a friend who actually just tagged me in some old school. It was like a Steve Harvey with long hair and like 2 lip piercings. And it's like everyone used to dress like this in 2008 and he tagged me in that. I'm like, yeah, that's funny because that actually was the year that I was kind of phase of life or whatever. But tell us a little bit about you. This is about you, man. You on the show. Yeah, so absolutely. If you want to introduce yourself, just what do you do? What are you up to? Who are you?
Sure. So my name is Ronak Singh. I guess my biggest background that I have is in technology for the most part. Technology and I guess construction, and I guess I can like elaborate on both those just a little bit. My family had construction related businesses for many years, and I've been involved in those for a long time, whether it's been vertical construction where we make buildings for people as general contractors, or if it's civil construction where you do roads, highways, and different services. I did that for some time. Then I really loved programming. That was like my thing whenever I was younger. And then I transferred over into like learning development, and I specialized in augmented reality for a little bit. I worked for some digital media agencies building, apps for like Fortune 500 companies, you know what I mean, in Houston area. I can't really mention the names, but you could probably guess who they are. There's only a few, you know what I mean? They're all in the oil and gas space.
Yeah.
So I guess like a lot of oil and gas stuff. And then, the whole while I've been doing entrepreneurship kind of on the side, whether it was through my family and through my own means. I founded one of my first companies a few years ago. It's called the Wonder Company, and we make augmented reality children's books focused on morals and ethics. So there are like 26 books that come to life. And, right now I just launched a recent venture where it's called the Crafting of You. And it's basically planner journal hybrids that are made in part with clinical psychologists, and they're have all kinds of tool sets to help you manage your life, reflect, and our kind of system is envision, plan, do, reflect, and we have all kinds of tools that help people plan their day and live their best version of their life. And so I found like a huge need for it because I was looking at the market, I found that there's a lot of planners and a lot of journals, but there was nothing in between. So, I've just been up to a lot of entrepreneurial, kind of things right now, and I'm juggling a few of those right now. But yeah, I know that was pretty verbose. I apologize. But yeah, that's
no, it's something we all fall into for sure. It's just a lot of different things that we're working on. And you and I were joking before we hit record that we both use Asana for project management, and you just dump a ton of ideas in there, and you have long-term ideas that you want to work on, short-term ideas. And we constantly, I think the hard part is picking the ones that we want to follow up with and like making sure we get them done, because there's always new ones coming in the pipeline, right?
That's so funny that you mentioned that, right? So like I have this like I have them tagged as like business ideas, all kinds of in my brain dumps, right? And now the biggest thing I'm interested in doing is product validation or service validation. Whatever your business is, if you're able to spin one up as an entrepreneur, you can spin up 50. Like you've already done the steps, you already know exactly the order, and it's even faster this time around, right? But now it's like, which is the correct one? And I 100% agree with you, for sure.
Yeah, and it happens so many times where people will approach me with an idea, or even my dad will always have like a bunch of ideas. Like I'll call him and he's like, hey, what if you do this for real estate, or you can help schedule this? I'm like, yeah, that's cool. But that one quote that Gary Vee says, ideas are a dime a dozen. It all comes down to execution. I forget it, something along those lines.
100%.
I know that's why I'm super cautious when a great idea, I'm like, that sounds awesome, but I still know it's going to take a lot of work to make it successful, and it doesn't align with what I'm working on,
100%. I would, it's funny that you say that, right? Because exactly, there's so many business models out there and they've all been done before, but it's about the execution really takes it to the next like 10th or 20th level. There's every business that anyone, any multi-million dollar business, there's so many people doing it at a low like individual level. And at the counter, there's so many people at a low individual level that will turn that into multi-billion-dollar businesses because execution is the most important part. If you don't mind me asking, what do you think is one of the most important parts about execution? Obviously, there's your people, there's your product or service, like people meaning your internal processes, your product, and then I guess sales. Like in your opinion, what is your hardest part, or what do you think is the most important part of execution? Because I know you've executed a few things here and there.
Thanks, man. That's a great question. And for me, I would say the execution piece first, you have to have obviously the vision. What is the outcome that you want? What would you define as quote unquote success? Like how many deals you're doing a month, or how much money is coming in monthly or annually, I guess. Like it just depends on what you think is most important, depending on your business model for everyone listening. But for the execution piece, the most important component, I would say, is probably having some sort of KPIs, key performance indicators, to actually measure. Because otherwise you're doing a bunch of stuff, but you don't know, is it the right stuff? And if you're not tracking your numbers, you're not sure which direction you're going in. Like, are you really moving the needle, or are you just being busy and not productive? So
well said. Like you're just like putting your effort into a black hole, or you don't even know whether it's going to like spin out.
Because you could work 10 hours or 15 hours a day every day, but if it's on the wrong stuff, you're not going to see that momentum towards the goals that you set.
Very well said. So I guess internally set KPIs and tied to, I guess KPIs tied to your vision almost, right? So
exactly.
Sure.
And for everyone, it can be difficult, like, hey, if you haven't made that first sale, the KPI is like, I just want to make one sale,
Right.
Yeah. So what's something that you've been struggling with lately? Like, are you, I know you're promoting your product and you're going out there and you're doing amazing things.
I'll tell you, it's just funny. I was like literally thinking about this right before I was jumping on the phone call, or our interview. I can tell you like what I'm really good at, and then like exactly the counter to what I'm not as good at, what I'm working towards. I very much know how to make products. Like that's what I was hired to do for agencies, and and that's like that was digital products, right? So apps and stuff like that. I've made physical products like your manufacturing, and I've made hybrids, and I've made books and this and whatever. I made all kinds of stuff. I'm super, super good at turning like a Word document or like features into like a literal product, right? Yeah. However, the counter is I did not spend as much time marketing. As I started looking into e-commerce, right? I started looking at all these really big players. Something that's crazy, by the way, that I don't know if you know or anybody, I'm sure some people know if they're in the ad space. You can look at your competitors' ads on Facebook.
I heard about that. And there's spy tools too.
Yeah. Okay. And literally and it's funny, they try to finesse you by putting certain filters on where it says like whenever it's the standard UX. It's like a dark UX setup because they literally set it up to where it's only highlighted to show political ads, and you have to unclick political ads, and then you see all of their ads, and then you can literally see the exact ads that your competitors are running at this very moment, right? So anyways, as I started looking at them, right, I started looking at the huge e-commerce people, BlendJet, things like Blissy, which is like these like sleep covers for like that are silk, and all these are specifically private labeled products that are from China, right? And I was like, man, dude, like I spent time making products, like making them like, which I think are I spent all this time like getting these like programmers and this and that for augmented reality kids books and this awesome journal I have here and this and that. And these people, they just spent their entire time just chilling out marketing, bro. Like they're like, hey, you know what? This is from China. Like, all right, guys. So what's next? Okay, we're gonna have a bunch of shots where they're blending this and that, and they have ASMR on their ads. Their advertisements literally is somebody whispering into it and saying like, BlendJet gives you whatever it is, right? And I'm like, it's like ingenious, right? Because I'm like, holy shit, because I know people their money on it and like
the advertising and the marketing.
100%. And it's a great advertising tactic because, you gain trust because they're watching a video, and the more that they're exposed to your brand, blah, 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 whatever it is. And nowadays with Facebook, I don't know if you can't track people as much with iOS 14
income and stuff like that, right?
Yeah. So now a lot of, and I'm sure there are definitely ways, there's probably way smarter people listening to that about Facebook ads, but a great way that they say now is using video views and percentage of video views. So like, you know, how far down. So anyways, you have an ASMR video, people from our generation are going to watch that thing. So the whole thing is I'm not that great at marketing, you know, and that is what I'm trying to learn right now and I think is the most important, right? Because I'm all about making amazing products, as I said, right? That's my biggest thing. But like you'll see time and time again, people will have mediocre products that like do awesome because they're great at marketing it. And like that is like, you know, it's like I almost felt imposter syndrome because I'm like, whoa, I make great products and like people like love them for the most part, but like I don't get any crazy reception. I was like, well, it's kind of like marketing it, you know what I mean? Like that's where I'm at right now, man. And you know, more than anything, like I'll like run really quickly. Let me get the book. I've been reading. Man, goodness, I wish I could find it. I just have a bunch of books on advertising, man, and then this one's on copywriting specifically.
I have a couple on that too.
Anyways, you know, I was watching Russell Brunson. Is that him from ClickFunnels, right? Yep. You know, and I guess the first part of my journey starting like learning about marketing right now and what I've gotten okay at, I think, is copywriting, because they were even saying that like copy is what converts, and like you could have an ugly site, but if you can move somebody with your words, which is like the truest thing, which is like poetry and music and art and everything else, right? Then you can truly get them to buy something. So, you know, that's where I started. I did a lot of copy stuff. I don't know if people know these days, like, are you aware of the AI copywriting assistants?
No, I don't think I am.
Okay. Well, I'm going to give a big shout out to this tool that I use. I really shouldn't because like I should let everybody else suffer the way I have forever. And then, you know what I mean? Like I should just like not tell anyone and be like, oh yeah, you guys should all just figure out. But there's this tool called copysmith.ai. And there's a lot of different versions. There's Write Sonic. There's all kinds of AI copywriters. And bro, you literally type in parameters and like, I can type like a monkey, dude. Like I barely know English and I have no eloquence, right? And it comes up with these
amazing words.
Just insane. Oh my goodness. Like I said, I shouldn't have even told you guys. I shouldn't even told you.
Cat's out of the bag, too late.
It's out of the bag. But no, the thing is AI copywriting, holy cow, bro. It is
next level.
I mean,
that's amazing.
You know, I can't even I don't really know that much about neural nets and then, you know, and TensorFlow and this and that. Like I have like very rudimentary knowledge of artificial intelligence and machine learning. But from what I know is they go ahead and aggregate all of the, I guess, best copywriting ever, right? From the internet and ads. And then they train it into their machine learning algorithm. And then you input your parameters and they just start spitting out like, you know, there's product descriptions, there's list ideas, there's like, it'll give you YouTube video ideas, like for it tells you like, what is your niche? Give me your 8, you know, to start putting keywords, productivity, planning, this, that, and it'll just start pumping out all kinds of crazy stuff because it's
just incredible.
So anyways, that's what I've been doing there. And then the other part of it is obviously the visual part. And like, I kind of was trying to learn product photography, but yeah, you know, marketing is the hardest part for me right now. What about yourself? Tell me, like what is.
Yeah, I like how you said, I mean, you love creating products and everything and all, you've had very good feedback, but maybe not as much retention or sales or traction or whatever, because the marketing piece, that's something entirely, it's like a different beast that other people, you know, they only do marketing and you're here creating the product and marketing it. So for me, I would say probably something similar, man, just the marketing consistency, the messaging, even branding, you know, personal branding. I'm not really so sure which direction do I want to go in, which topics do I want to stick to or cover. But one thing I wanted to also touch on though, that you mentioned, since you're having that hard time with like the sales and the marketing piece, I remember somebody asked Robert Kiyosaki or something. I think this was a Robert Kiyosaki thing where they were trying to sell something and it wasn't selling and they thought that they just had to write the perfect book. And he said, it's not called best written book. It's called best selling book. Like writing it is the first step. Then you got to go on book tours and talk to people, get on podcasts, and you got to sell that thing for the next couple of years. It's not like you just put it out there and then magically people find it and write 5-star reviews, you know?
100%. You know, that's the funny thing is like as a creator, like of any type, you're like, you put all this hard work and like, Yeah, you just want to build, right? And you're just like, oh hell yeah, I made. And then like you're like, oh, like there's this whole other part. Like you just like built a vehicle. Now you have to propel it into the future or into whatever it is, like
Yes.
into success. And it is a bit disheartening in some way. I'm not going to lie to you, because you want to focus on the areas that you're passionate about that you think you can give the world the most amount of value, right? And that's what it comes down to. But however, we live in a commerce-based world, and a value. I don't even say value exchange. It's also about perceived value exchange, right?
Absolutely.
Like the dollar is not backed by gold anymore. Bitcoin isn't backed by anything. It's all about perception about what things are valued, right? So it's like very difficult. So it's I just used to find sales kind of slimy, like in my opinion, and that was something that stopped me for many years. And I still like I not that I hold that opinion, but it's still like you have to be. I want to be as transparent to this person and like give them as much value as possible. And like, no matter what business you're in, that's not how it really works. Like you have to do this dance and this conversation about, exchanging values and persuading them. So, that's the same reason why I found sales kind of difficult. Have you hired anyone, or do you plan on like getting anyone on board to take over sales? Because I know you're amazing at delegating and whatnot.
Yeah, I know you were joking about that on that Clubhouse call yesterday. Is that, man, Chris is that guy who knows the most out of productivity out of everyone I know, and I appreciate that comment, by the way. I will gladly take that compliment, because I agree. I feel like I don't do anything.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. I mean, honestly, I would totally love. That's something I'd love to learn from you, because a lot of times, my family and my dad is a solopreneur. There's that word, it's like whenever you're the only person for the most part, you have some employees here and there, but whenever you're really solo, you're used to doing things solo, you take on a lot of the work yourself, because for some reason, I don't know why, because you feel that you're the engine, which you do not need to be. You can outsource your processes, but I'm still not the best at doing so at the moment. But I mean, yeah, I definitely would, whenever you come out with a course or a book or something for that.
I know you're pushing me about that. I've actually had a few people tell me I need to do it.
Every time I tell you, dude.
I know. I've had a few people tell me, like, when's the course coming out? I'm like, gosh, well, I don't know if I want to make it generic for everyone, or would it just be for real estate agents so I can market it better? But don't worry, there's a course in there somewhere. It's going to come out eventually.
Why not both? Why not both?
You're right. Why not both? Why not both?
Everyone, and then just the one for real estate agents is just a little bit dialed down further, where it has specific,
a little more detail. Absolutely. Yeah. And that's like a little muscle, the delegation muscle that we got to flex and just get used to starting to hand off the reins. And eventually you got people doing everything for you. Like, I had a screenshot I shared of like my team recently at a couple of speaking things that I did. And I think it was 4 or 5, 6. I think I had 8 or 9 people on there at this point. People physically showing houses for me, writing up contracts for me to buy or sell real estate. A couple of assistants who are, lead generating for me and booking calls for me without me even knowing. And even a podcast manager, for example, who helps me find guests and gets me on other shows. And it just gets added to my calendar. And I'm like, cool, I have 3 podcasts today.
That's the ultimate flex right there, truly. I mean, because
control of honestly, your time.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, because it's like funny, because I'm like really into working out, right? So I'm like, oh, I can put all the effort myself. Blah, blah, blah. But it's like so stupid, because the truest flex is literally being able to be omnipresent while you're literally doing your own life, and as opposed to having to be the person that
doing everything.
Whenever you're the if you're the main point of contact, you're basically the person who gets harassed every day. So in some shape or form,
Absolutely.
So,
I heard this one too.
Yeah.
This is a great nugget where it says, if you don't have an assistant, then you are one. That kind of hits home for you almost spit out your drink, right? That one really hits home for people.
Okay, tell me then what is your general process? May I spitball and guess at a process, and can you tell me if it's correct or not?
Sure.
Do you write out, let's just say on a macro level, on the highest level, you itemize out your daily to-dos and things that you don't need to be too present for, that you can give them information for, and that they can run themselves. So then I presume maybe you make a list of processes, and I'm guessing. I have no idea. I'm just wondering, right? How I would do it if I was thinking about it. And you check up on them, or how many times do you teach them before you're like, hey, okay, take it off completely? Or tell me. Sorry. Yeah.
No, great first stab at that. That sounds very close to what I do. I kind of give them, I heard this actually at the event that I went to in Oregon recently, a real estate thing. I think the guy called it the 10-80-10 method, where you tell them 10% up front of what your expectations are, what you want them to work on, and then you let them go run with it. And that's the 80%. They go do something, they kind of take what you told them and they put their own spin on it. That way you're not tying up your brain space or time telling them how to do things that they can figure out on their own and maybe ask a couple other team members for. And then the last 10%, you actually check in, touch base again. And you're like, hey, okay, this looks great. Awesome. Perfect. Or, hey, can you make these 2 tweaks? It didn't quite turn out how I was expecting. Because we have those visions for what we want, but we don't really know until we see it. And then we can give feedback. But if you're involved in the whole process, then you're in trouble.
Do you check back on almost every individual task, or do you things that are recurring? I'm literally asking because I need to do this for myself, right? I need to.
This is what I do on other podcasts too, man. I ask questions where I'm like, hey, well, how do you do this? Because I'm stuck on this. So for me, what I do, a lot of my tasks are repetitive or recurring. Podcast, there's a system for it. Finding a guest, vetting them. Do they have a podcast that I can be on? Does it have enough good reviews for me to make it worth my while? Like if they just started the podcast, I don't know if I want to go on their show because sure, they might be a big hit 3 years from now, but they might also quit on episode 4. So, absolutely. Right. Sure. So I don't know if I want to spend a 30-minute or 1-hour session on something that I'm not sure, but if they've done 50 episodes already, cool. They're showing up, they're consistent. We're going to do that. So that's something that's like a recurring. They understand how the process goes. It's just churning and burning, finding new guests and getting me on new shows. But for one-off tasks,
volume repetition thing. It's like
absolutely.
You don't have to check that much. Sure.
Exactly. I don't even check in on them. I'm just like, okay, cool. How is everything going? How are the podcast downloads? Or is everything trending in the right direction? And if not, we take a step back and we maybe tweak the guests that we have or the message, or maybe we narrow down what we're focusing on or a certain topic. And then for the one-off stuff, like all the stuff that you throw in Asana, that you get an idea and you're like, this would be cool to do. I assign it to someone and I put a little bit of detail on there and I just say a generic ballpark day. Like, hey, this isn't urgent, but if you can look at this in the next 2 or 3 weeks and let me know what you find, it's something that I want to do that I don't want to personally do. Like I want it done, but I don't want to do it myself. Right. So here was an example. Sure. I got an offer. I got 81 offers on a recent house in Houston that I put for sale. And I heard someone mention that some real estate agent I got 81 offers on my listing.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Yeah. So I had a listing for sale. I got a bunch of traffic and views, 78 showings in 2 days. And then I saw in a Facebook group that someone's like, hey, I saw some realtor on the news who got 30 offers on their property. And I'm like, ooh, I should try to get on the news. I have more than double that. And so I had her find the information to submit a story request or whatever. And she actually already kicked it back to my inbox. But it was one of those things where I'm like, I'm focusing on other stuff. Is it really the best use of my time? And so I haven't really pursued it yet, but it was done. And I paid her for 1 hour of her research instead of going and spending an hour doing that thing. So hopefully that kind of paints a picture on what I do during the day.
100%. So, I mean, basically you go ahead and you like build the beginning proponent of it and propel it a bit further. You give your idea and you give it a little bit of life. Yep. You let them give it even more life, and then you go ahead and just reconfirm. Absolutely.
For sure.
That makes complete sense.
I could even give you one more example if you want of something I just did.
Sure, please.
Cool. So for real estate, I mean, I'm focusing on building my network and stuff in the Denver market, and I'm good at connecting with people. I love making friends and maintaining relationships, but I don't want to be the one making all the phone calls and setting up the meetings. So I have my people focusing on a few key businesses in my area. And I gave them a script and was like, hey, just call them, say we're looking to do a referral partnership. I want to send business their way. I'd love to see if they can keep me in mind. And if they're interested, send them my Calendly link and we'll schedule either a phone or Zoom call, or I'll even drop by in person if they're comfortable with that right now with everything going on. So they're doing all this stuff for me. And anybody who's interested, I just show up and say, hey, I'm swinging by for 30 minutes. It's on my calendar. And I didn't do any of the grunt work of making the phone calls and talking to the front desk person. So that's kind of another example of something that I'm like, hey, this is a great idea, or at least I think it is. Let someone on my team run with it.
Okay, absolutely. I love it. It's like almost everything, whether it's
Anything you
products
get.
or processes, they all start off as just like Word documents, as just like literally
Right,
just words,
right.
right? And it turns into something so magical based upon that.
It really does, man. And I can truly say at this point, any request that I get, actually, as you and I speak right now, someone is showing houses in Houston. It's 3 p.m. here in Denver,
Sure.
and I've got a showing happening at 4 p.m. And if they want to write the offer, I have someone else who's going to write that up for me. And that's a potential $9,000 commission if we get that thing under contract. So
Right.
that's the power of leverage. I'm here talking to you. Someone's doing that work for me. I'm going to Venmo her $30 for showing. And that's potentially a $9,000 return. Of course, we got to do some steps in there, but yeah, just the power of leverage. Because if I was showing all the houses myself, that wouldn't be happening because I'm not even in the state anymore. I would be doing no deals.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Damn. When did you start, I guess, deciding to start unloading your work? I mean, it is literally a skill. Like, by no means is it not a skill. Like, it is very much taking your own processes, and like, it sounds easy, like, oh yeah, just take the process and check up on it, but it's still not that. Obviously, we all know it's like, hey, you want to make like a brand new business, just go ahead and put it, it's not so easy. But when did you start, I guess, putting so much effort into being able to outsource so much or delegate your work rather?
I heard several podcasts talk about this where you should really get an assistant before you even need one, before you even know what you're going to have them do. Just start to practice that art of delegation and having even little things in your personal life that you don't want to be doing. Maybe scheduling like haircuts or massages or those little things that add up, and you take 10 minutes trying to schedule a massage or something because you're on hold. You can have them do for you online and just provide your passwords, for example, with things that you're comfortable with, and the 4-Hour Workweek was a book that really helped me on that because it planted the idea of virtual assistants in my mind when I read it in 2017. And then as I continued to hear more and more people talk about it, I was like, let me start to find some people to help me before I even knew what I wanted. I'm like, hey, I'm willing to pay someone in the Philippines $5 or $10 an hour just to buy myself back 4 or 5 hours a week. And
right.
So now I've bought myself 10 to 15 hours a week or more of things that I probably would be doing myself. But now I get to do more stuff like podcasts or go on a walk with my dog,
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love it, dude. That's, like I said, that's something that I will be definitely trying to replicate as soon as possible.
I'll create a course for you, bro. Don't worry.
I'll buy it, bro. For sure. I promise you that I'll buy it. I've been telling you forever. But like, it's funny almost. It's like indicative, like, I guess so much of my stuff has been about like self-development. I never really thought about, I don't know, like when you think about self-development, you also think about yourself doing work. I don't know what is the 1-to-1 ratio there. Because as a businessman, it's a very stupid idea. It's funny. Yeah. Like even my business partner for the augmented reality children's was like, bro, we should never be doing work. And he's not saying never be doing work, but we should never be doing the work rather.
By ourselves,
you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. But I like it, dude. Then this is going to be the last business or project that I'm going to be doing all the physical work on. Like, I love to like talk to you about this one as well. You know what I mean? Because it's so in line with, I guess, what we've been talking about, like the lack of delegation, or just like, very much self doing stuff. I almost made this really a large part of because of my entrepreneurial journeys. It's
what you would want, right? It's like what you would want to use.
Absolutely. I still use it every single day because it's very much a tool that I've used during the pandemic. Because what ended up happening was it was during pandemic time, and I like really was like, I think I can speak for everyone for the most part, like being cooped up in your house, like really reevaluated a lot of things, and like it took a little bit of a toll on mental health. So like I really needed to be able to structure myself in like a really, really good way. And I found a lot of great tools online. And, after a while, like I said, I love making products. So I went ahead and after I tested it on a few different people, made it myself, I went ahead and talked to some clinical psychologists as well, developed this curriculum more or less with them. And it's, it's just like really awesome journal for the most part. Where basically,
I saw some of the pictures on your website. It was really well done. And I love the layout. I'm like, I would definitely use that. I use a crazy Excel file at the moment. but I love the idea and everything you've done with it.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll definitely send you one. It starts off by basically, you start your week off by titling your week, you know what I mean? Kind of like how, whatever you want your intention to be. You have really cool daily pages where you have task list items and, mindset goals, and then, daily primary goals, really cool
Notes.
stuff like end of reflections. And this one was like a really, really great addition, which was, we have like kind of like visualizations, kind of like something that no other journal has, where we, like you draw out what you accomplished this week, whether it's running a mile or 10 miles or, showing the houses or making sales. You draw them on this side, then you visualize on the other side what you want to accomplish before the week ends. You know what I mean? And it really helps exercise your muscle of visualization. So I don't know how much you believe in, like, I'm not like super on the hippy dippy side of believing in like full law of attraction, which I don't not agree with it, but like, there's a mix of both, of like luck, opportunity, a little bit of manifestation. It really is a lot of things, but a lot of them has to do with your mindset and being open to the opportunities around you. But anyways, I feel that, we felt that visualization was a really great tool. And then lastly, my favorite part really was the whole thing that inspired it. Is that like every week I felt like had like a theme, talking about what I learned every single week, That's what cool. was the general theme. Cool things like highlight reels, your best moments of the week. This was so that you kind of replicate your amazing days again and again. But anyways, this was a lot about, I guess, like self-discipline, which was totally awesome. And I'm definitely going to work on the next part, which is like objective discipline and being able to replicate myself, I guess, almost the same way that you have. But yeah, it's like, this is what I was talking about earlier when I was talking about marketing is, I'm learning with this a lot. And like, I've learned a lot so far. It's been a lot of fun. People like really, really love the journal and like the kind of, content that we're able to create or that we are going to be creating is super awesome because
people need that.
It's really funny how. Sorry, what's that?
People need that kind of content on how to organize their lives and their days and visualize.
Absolutely. There's so much. It's funny. Like I don't know. Do you get lost in the sauce occasionally and watch TikTok reels or on Instagram reels?
I honestly, I never really get lost in there. I have friends who send me TikTok videos all the time. I'm like, man, this guy must be scrolling through TikTok, like every day.
I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. I get lost in it occasionally. Like I say, I
lost in the sauce. That's hilarious.
Yeah, dude. That's exactly what it is. Because I say I spend an hour a week, so there'll probably be like 10 minutes every day, and I'm like, whoa, dude.
An hour a week is way better than like an hour a day or something,
Oh God! Oh my goodness, dude! I don't even like how would I get work done? No, like it's just funny because and anyways, on it there's so much great content. That's what I realized. This is like my opinion is that you can make amazing products, right? Amazing products are designed with clinical psychology and really vetted tools and this and that. But, these days, I feel like what sells companies the most is truly ethos and living that life or marketing. Really. So, there's just a bunch of amazing content on reels that I see all the time. And I'm like, wow, this would be like, great things where people are showing montages of their day that like would be amazing for the journal and following it. So right now that's been like, my biggest thing is like learning how to do that, looking at our competitor ads and, I guess in line with what you were saying, man, trying to delegate all that stuff and take those processes out of my head and to give it to people because doing it myself is very tiring, to say the least.
Absolutely. And just finding people who are doing it as well. I had an interview earlier and the guy said, let professionals do their job. So he does land investing and he lets a realtor sell it. He's like, once I buy it and I parcel it up or divide it up, he doesn't want to deal with selling it and he does it across the nation. And that really stood out to me because that's how you really scale up and delegate. Because you and I, sure, we can learn Facebook ads and we can go through the Facebook blueprint and figure it out and get a couple of sales. But why not just go to the guy who's done it for 5 years and maybe they'll charge you a little bit more. They'll want a percentage of the proceeds, but they'll sell way more,
100%. See, that's, I 1,000,000% agree with you. Exactly. Because the thing is, they will end up charging you more. You will initially have more out of your pocket, but in the end, objectively your ROI will be greater. It's almost like playing to your strengths, right? Like,
Yes.
you know what you're good at, and you're like, well, you can like go so hard at this one thing with all your energy and might, right? And you can outdo other people in that area, but
So
you can't do that in a million different areas. Yeah, exactly. Like you're not fucking Superman where you can literally split yourself and, you
can freeze stuff, you can fly, you can shoot lasers out of your eyes. Yeah, Superman can do a lot of cool things.
While you're just yeah, exactly. While he's like writing a book and fighting, crime at the same time and saving the world, whatever it is, So like, I guess, man, what a great takeaway is really about the delegation of business and not being stuck as a solopreneur, dude. It's literally the worst life ever. Like, it's funny because
you're just a slave to your business, right?
Yeah, dude. I've seen other people do it, and like, it's just like, I think it almost comes down to, I don't know if this is correct. Like I said, it's just my opinion. It comes down to a lack of documentation of your processes and handing them out to people.
100%.
If you just think right? That's basically it, right? Because processes are what makes a business. Like, you as a business person, your most important thing is like, learn the business. And like, tell me if you agree with the statement. If you spend any more time after than the first 20 times doing something, and let's just say 20 even, let's technically less than that, bro. Like, once you know it and you've outlined it, like, why would you go back? But sure, let's just say 20 times for the sake of being very thorough and knowing the process, knowing that, you're not going to be gaslighting somebody else for failing this process, whatever it is, right? So know that you know the process thoroughly, right? Like, why would you ever do it again? Like, what the hell? You're a smart person. Like, you're literally a business person. Why would you go ahead and like repeat? Like, that sounds like being a slave. Like, it literally sounds like to your own business. Like, right. Why would you go and put yourself through mindless work? I guess I don't know. And I don't know. Would you agree with that statement?
I would totally agree with that. If there's something that you do repeatedly, I just mentioned this in the presentation I gave yesterday. I told everyone that I would challenge them before they do anything, think about it before you just do it and ask, is this the best use of my time? Because chances are you could just fire that off in Asana, assign it to somebody else, send it in Slack or via email, and have someone else on your team do it out of state, $5, $10 an hour in the Philippines instead of you doing it. And something else that I heard that was really powerful is just to delegate all the $10 an hour tasks. Focus on $100 an hour, $1,000 an hour tasks. When your time is worth that, focus on $10,000 an hour tasks. And that way you do more of those deals or whatever, where you're making $10,000 per hour or $5,000 an hour, whatever the number is. And you can pay people to do those $10 an hour tasks, to meal prep for you, to clean your house, like those things that we shouldn't do that need to get done. That way you focus, like you said earlier, on that one thing where you're really strong at. You can shine at that instead of trying to do well at the things that you're not so great at. Like, just push all that stuff out to people who are professionals in that area.
I 100% agree, man. I'm like very inspired to literally delegate as much as possible. It's funny. I have a delegated column in Asana, and it's like, it's not populated. It's not the most populated one. Empty. I'll tell you that. Yeah, exactly. It's literally empty.
And bro, I love it because you're saying it right here. You're kind of like having this realization, what you need to do. But of course, it takes some time. It's difficult at first because as creators, we like to do it all. We like to touch it. It's like the chef. You want to be in the kitchen cooking the food, but if you want to own the restaurant and be a head chef at like 5 restaurants, you can't be in 5 places at once. You need to find the right people.
You just can't.
Yeah.
Gosh, man. You're 100% right. Like I said, besides that, these days, I try to basically just record as many video processes as possible. Like I just record my screen and I just do the process one time. So literally I'm like, all right, so I can hand it off to somebody and not have to repeat it again and again. And that's a great way to do it. Yeah. Like I'm sure, I don't know. I don't use Trainual or anything like that. I know that those are big ones. There's like something called Playbook, I think, or Waybook, I think. Yeah. Waybook. And there's a bunch of things that have like quiz things built in, but I guess, that's probably gonna be like the biggest thing I'm gonna focus on moving forward for sure.
And that could be the biggest takeaway for most people in the audience who maybe are still stuck doing a lot of this other things themselves, is just the next time you're about to do it, you can record your screen or do a Zoom call, screen record, and share your screen to show what buttons you're clicking, what you're doing. And I think there's another software I see a lot of people use. I haven't really used it, but I've seen some videos in it called Loom. LOOM. If you look that up, I think they have a free version and a paid version, but you can basically record your screen and send it to someone via a link where they can watch it on their browser without having to download it or open it in Dropbox. So that kind of makes it a little faster too, just to show somebody something on your screen where they can learn it and you don't have to even put it out in a Word document. Because that's what stops most of us. We're like, man, it seems like so much work. I don't want to outline the 3 pages of stuff that I do for this one task that I can just do in 5 minutes. So just open up your screen recording, do it once, and then send it to your VA that you bring on to create a process from that video.
Yeah, absolutely. I would even exactly. I would say that literally make that video once as a process or outline, I guess, brain dump every process that you do that you know of and spend half a day. So you never ever have to do it again and be really good that half a day and outline the shit out of it. And then, really
100%.
Make it good. Yeah.
I was showing somebody actually how to schedule showings for real estate, like how to schedule it in this software called Showing Time. And I think she had asked me a question a couple of days later, like, hey, how did I do that again? I can't remember. And I had already sent her the recording link of the Dropbox, and I pulled it up real quick. I fast forwarded it and I found it. And then I sent the link again. I was like, hey, at the 7-minute mark, that's where we covered this. That way, instead of me explaining it again for 5 minutes, I just took maybe like 20 seconds to send it to her, find the where it was in the video, and she could go back and refer to that. And that way I'm saving myself time. It was just one and done. And that resource is there for her to refer back to at any moment.
Amazing, dude. It's like, I'm very inspired by this right now because, overall,
I appreciate it, man.
I was just looking, I was looking, like I have so many products that I've made in my life. It's actually like, it's actually dumb. Like it doesn't even make sense really.
I've seen you post about a lot of them, and I'm always like, cool. Like you're building something new. You're doing something new. That's awesome.
Yeah, cool, man. I'm like, you know what? It's like, no. I'm like joking because it's just like whenever I used to make art, right? Like I got out of making, so I used to be an artist once upon a time before anything. I, made hundreds of songs and I did like a bunch of light art. I used to do stuff for bands where I don't know if you know what projection mapping is, or, if you get on stage, you see all kinds of crazy visuals. I used to do stuff like that for people. And that's under programming really, because that's very programming intensive. But, I would make all these cool products. Everyone's like projects, just like light shows and stuff. People like, awesome, bro. And it's like the same thing now, but I'm like, no, please give me your money.
I need money.
Too.
Yeah.
So much. Great, but now it's going well. Like I said, like the journals, people are buying them and they seem to really like them. So I'm like, it's very exciting for me because
I love
I'm able to see at least some progress, and that came from me deciding branding was the most important thing, and starting copywriting and stuff like that. So
definitely. In one book that really helps that I've been recommending out to a lot of people, and for some reason I think my chair's broken, like it keeps sinking on me. So if you see me like I keep raising it in the video for those watching. I keep on like shrinking down. It's been this just started happening today, so I got to figure out what's going on.
Sure.
But the book Essentialism.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say the book Essentialism has been a huge game changer for me in just getting very clear and saying no to almost everything that I know doesn't align with what I'm focusing on. Because I bet that if you went all in on this one product and you kind of stop trying to market the other ones, like you could do amazing things and just promote this one on all the podcasts that you go to. That would be that thing that I talked about, like Robert Kiyosaki, make it a best-selling product. You got to go out there and sell it and market it and promote it. And it takes some time 100%, for sure.
100% is really propelling that vehicle that you've already built and spent all this time sweating, creating, and
definitely, because it's not like build it and they will come. It's a great product. It looks clean and great.
You know what's so funny? Like, I think they need to burn that quote, bro. Like they need to never tell anyone that quote ever. Oh my gosh. I literally wish I never heard that quote, and like somebody really needs to. It
would have saved us a lot of time.
Very much clarify. That's not the way life works. We all wish, but it doesn't work like that at all.
Yeah, I've been there too, where I put up a Kickstarter and I'm like, cool, it's there. I'm just gonna get funded. And no, you got to do a whole lot more work to. It didn't just fund overnight.
I went down that route. I was doing that for the journal originally, actually. It's funny. And it's basically, it's a very interesting formula. TLDR, it's basically email list generation and a lot of Facebook ads towards getting $1 to $2 Facebook,
leads,
email leads, and to your landing page. And it's not like, it's a whole thing of itself because sometimes people, whatever. It's a whole ecosystem.
It's a whole other thing, right?
Yeah. People like it's an ecosystem of itself. There are people that are millionaires off just Kickstarter, and all they do is Kickstarter, and it is a skill. Just like how we're talking about, right? Like a lot of those people don't even go the full e-commerce route where they just literally just sell e-commerce and do lead, just whatever it is. Like they go like only Kickstarter route. So that's a whole thing of itself, and that's an interesting one day I hope to permeate.
For sure. And that kind of goes back to that power of focus. I mean, if they're making all their money and success from Kickstarter, they're not even fiddling around with putting up their own Facebook ads on the side. They're just launching campaign after campaign.
Yep. Why would you take away from, I mean, it's basically it's like an opportunity cost, and you're looking at, and if you want to look at life as objectively as possible, it's opportunity cost of dollars. So you're like literally spreading yourself thin. It's like you literally are cool. You're a jack of all trades, but you literally succeeded in none. And cool, you'll be great at a job. Then go get a job. Like, and you know what I mean? Like you can be all kinds of stuff for somebody, but like you literally need to be, very honed into your business set of skills to really push it into something that's real. I couldn't agree with you more. I 100% agree.
I love it. Everything we've talked about today is stuff that we've all struggled through. Many people still struggling with it. It sounds like you've gotten a bunch of nuggets. I love that you're inspired on all the delegation that I've done, because it's really hard to let go of the reins. And especially when you hands off something and they don't do it as well as you would have done it, or they make a mistake. I would encourage people listening to go back and look at the process, because probably the process isn't detailed enough, and that's why they made a mistake. It's not that they're dumb. Well, maybe we just got a little lazy with telling them how it needs to get done.
See, that's exactly what I was saying. Almost like to do
blame ourselves
20 times to make sure that you're not gaslighting someone into giving them the wrong process. But absolutely. But yeah, like besides, for sure, I absolutely agree. Making sure that your process outline and your original process is amazing. It's probably the core of what business. That's like the arteries, if you will, and you're the heart.
Exactly. And if you don't know what your purpose is or who your avatar is, those are the things you have to figure out first, because then you don't know who to market to or what your message is or what your goal is. And so those are all very important before you can really dial in those processes and the key performance indicators that we talked about earlier. But yeah, man, what else is on your mind? Anything else you want to talk through or you're struggling on? Or
that's, honestly, man, that's really about it. Like I said, for entrepreneurially, I feel like in all other regards, I'm doing, well in life. I'm very happy. I was training for a marathon. You remember I shared that with you actually a while ago? I definitely kind of cut back on the full marathon because, I'm like, I still work out a lot. So I'm like a very big guy. So 200 pounds and I run 8-minute miles. So like after a while, that puts a lot of stress. And, I've just been doing like half marathons, been hanging out besides that. But, I've just been focusing on the book, man. This has been something that's been really exciting for me because it's about like taking control of your life, conquering, learning about it. And this has been like the biggest thing in my life for the past like little bit, the crafting of you. And this is called The Novel of You, our journal. Because, it's all just about seizing the day. And I guess I've just been enjoying like that cadence and rhythm of like being obsessed with my own product.
That's awesome,
I've been good, man. It's great for my mental health too. I get to like really reflect on the things I accomplished. I think as doers, a lot of times, like, and you're yourself, right? You always get like, you're like, okay, cool, done, bam. And like, you need to think about it, right? Like task completed.
Right.
Like, I look at the end of the day, like a crackhead, like, 8 tasks completed in a sign up. I'm like, skirt. Like, I'm like so happy for it.
And you're like
right?
scratching your face, like, ooh, I need more tasks to add on my list.
Dude, you don't even know, bro. Like, I'm like sitting there on a computer. I'm like, one like more. Like, I'm about to fall. Yes.
It's a problem we all have that we got to work on for sure.
Yeah. And that's what a part of this is too, it helps you like reflect on your wins, every single week. And with it, there's also, I have to pitch this because it's like one of my favorite parts about it. With this product, if you go and sign up on our website, you get a weekly text coach. So every week, 3 times a week, you get a text, and you get a text 3 times on Sunday, and it kind of correlates with our exercises, right? So cool. On Sundays in our planner and journal, you have reflection days and planning days. So you almost like church, right? Like universally, people have used Sundays as a time of reflection, right? Whether it's here to India or wherever it is, right? it's like very much like a reflection day. And, you get little tidbits on life, and little nice, cool reminders, about making sure that your journey is going well. Then obviously you get a text on Monday, which helps you kind of get your best foot forward for the week. Yeah, absolutely. And then you get a last text of the week or I guess middle text of the week on Thursday, where, it kind of ties into the mid reflection exercises. And it says, it basically tells you about, if you've done a lot this week, then, you can, relax and enjoy yourself and draw out a massage maybe, for your accomplishments for this week. And if you didn't accomplish that much, then totally cool. Then, maybe draw some things out and visualize what you want to get done. So
for next week.
It's been lots of fun, man, making these products for something that I loved and was really helping push me. And so I've just been enjoying that, trying to crush my goals, making them more and more bite-sized, because sometimes I try to get too grandiose with them. So, but yeah, man.
Yeah, less is more. You? Less is more, man. That's kind of one thing I'm actually focusing on. Appreciate you sharing and asking. I'm actually pulling back quite a bit. I'm looking at my calendar. My calendar has just been booked out for me. My assistant's done a great job.
Sure.
She's added me on so many podcasts, and I've been interviewed on like 30 this year already. And I've been on, I got more coming up, and then I've been interviewing a ton of guests, maybe 3 or 4 a week in some cases.
Wow.
So that's like 3, 4, 5 hours a week. And sometimes I batch it. So it all happens in a day in most cases. So I'm kind of, I've been busy.
What we were talking about earlier. Yeah. So you batch stuff. That's amazing.
Sorry, I batch it. So most of my podcasts happen on Tuesday, and I'll do 3 or 4 in a day. I make a couple of exceptions, or I add a few spaces for stuff like, friends and people that I haven't connected with in some time. And now I'm actually doing the opposite. I kind of am going back to that essentialism thing, the less is more. And I'm telling her, hey, after these current podcast people that we're talking to, don't book anything new. I want to see blank space on my calendar so that I can start to add new things that I want to start focusing on. Because I've been so busy on the things that are already on the calendar that I'm ignoring the things that I've been wanting to do for some time.
You know what's so funny? So in the kind of system that we developed for the crafting of you, it's like envision, plan, do, So you've been planning and doing, and you want to just reflect right now so you can envision for your next future.
Exactly.
As opposed to being so busy you can't even see the horizon. So are you almost like in a sense, if you want me asking, are you looking at KPIs just objectively kind of all the work you've done and thinking, okay, what are the things panned out the most and what's best next steps, or how is,
Yeah, absolutely. So, I'm seeing all the podcasts that we're doing, and I'm looking at the numbers, and I just sent this to my assistant, like, hey, that's kind of weird. Our podcast downloads have dropped a little bit over the last month or two. I wonder what it could be. Are we doing less podcasts? So I'm looking into that. Maybe what I'm thinking is I'm interviewing too many random guests, and we're talking about too many different things, and it's not really standing out or speaking out to the guest. And of course, if you're listening to this, DM me on Instagram, just let me know what kind of content you'd like to see, which helps me tailor it. But that's an example where I'm like, hey, I'm spending all this time on podcasts and the numbers aren't trending in the right direction right now. Let me slow it down, clear out my calendar, and regroup,
Hell yeah. So you can make sure to pitch or to get the best right content for your audience. Absolutely.
Exactly. Instead of just being like, hey, let's do more and more and more interviews on everything from real estate to quitting the job to, I don't know, productivity or whatever. Like maybe I dial in that message. I love productivity. So maybe that's what I lean more towards. Like, hey, let's just talk about productivity products and hacks and Pomodoro technique and just dive all the way deep into it,
Sure. So you want to go from T to into just how we're talking about earlier.
Instead of a mile wide, I want to be like the mile deep of knowledge on a certain topic.
You want to be, dude. I can 100% empathize with that because that's how we've been talking about forever. You can do a lot of different things, but being those individual things help you get deeper into different things as you go. So, but yeah, absolutely,
100%, man. Well, I know we're at the end of our hour. Was there anything that you wanted to leave, any takeaways or final nuggets before we let people know where to find you? Or
well, first of all, I want to thank you for the amazing reaffirmation and context of delegating out work. But yeah, besides that, I hope that your listeners would, I would hope that your listeners would totally come and, check out our website, thecraftingofyou.com. I think that it would be really great. Presumably the people that listen to this are very much doers and dreamers and people that have, goals that they want to put in place and into action. And, that is the whole precipice of the crafting of you. It's about building you in your life and making a life that is tailored to you by your own hands. You know what I mean? Not by anyone else's,
I love that.
So basically, besides that, I think that, the people that listen to your podcast are very much into, doing things in life. And that's, all we are. And the creators behind it are very much just that. So, I hope that people would check it out. And, if you like it, give it an order. And yeah.
For sure. I'll put the link in the show notes. And I love that name too. Like you said, the crafting of you, it's your life. You get to change it however you want. And you hold the pen to your journal, which I know you're working on a journal product as well. So everyone can go check that out. It sounds like something totally up my alley. I mean, when I saw it, I'm like, yeah, I'm all about productivity, mindset, visualization. I do all those things. So I love what you've been able to put in there and wrap up into one product. So nice work, man.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. It's been like a 8 months or almost a full year in the making. So I'm very excited to have it out there and to share it with the world.
Love it. Now you got to go spend the next 5 years selling it, right?
Bro, yeah, it's like now it's like
don't go create a new product.
Over. I know. And like I'm sitting here thinking, what's my next product? And I'm like, no, stop.
It's like, dude, you just put it out there. You got to sell it now, make it successful because it's a great product. It looks amazing. It's clean. It's a nice price point. Anyone can jump in there and order it without selling their arm or leg to do so. And so I think you have something amazing here, man. And I appreciate the kind words and go out there and start delegating today, man. Find someone to help you with some of this stuff.
Man, out of any of the doers, I know you're one that I respect the most as well. I know people that make stuff, but like I said, there's, and people that I hold in high regards, you're one of the few. So I
really appreciate it.
And being able to share further, especially for how long we've known each other.
Absolutely, Ronak. Well, thanks again for being on the show. I was going to say for having me on the show, but thank you for jumping on the show and for the kind words. It means a lot, and I look forward to staying in touch.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much. I appreciate it, and I hope you have a good one, man.
You too. Thanks. Hey everyone, Chris Bello here. Just wanted to thank you real quick for listening to the show, whether you're listening on podcast or YouTube or wherever it is that you may be listening. I wanted to make that quick offer about real estate help. I am in the real estate business. That is my main business and how I make all my income and my living by helping others buy, sell, rent, or invest in real estate across the nation. If you have any questions at all, go to chrisbello.com/real estate. Again, that is chrisbello.com/real estate. I'd love to see if I can help you out in my markets. And maybe if you're in a market outside of the ones that I'm focusing on right now, I'd love to connect you with a real estate professional who can help fulfill whatever needs or services that you are requiring. So again, go to chrisbello.com/real estate. A great thing is when I connect you with a vetted professional, if I'm not able to help you myself, is whenever a transaction closes, I'm actually able to get a referral commission. So that can be a great way of thanking me for my content. It helps to support the show, and it helps me to continue to spend time bringing on amazing guests, doing these great interviews, spending a lot of time on creating content and making sure that I can bring you the very best information that you need to grow professionally, emotionally, intelligently, and in every single area. We're all working on getting better at everything. And so my focus and expertise is in real estate. I'd love to be the one to help you again. If you're not interested in that, no worries at all. Please continue to listen to the show. Make sure you leave a review. It helps so much in getting new followers and sharing the message. And thank you once again for being a listener. I'll catch you on the next episode.